I got to get the names because I love these. I believe in giving people credit for what they say and write. And so I will have the names tomorrow. Or maybe, I think it's Thursday. Thursday we have our session. Here's another one. Don't let other people's failure create fear in you and going after something. I'll never forget when I decided that I was going to become a motivational speaker. How many people said, do you know how many members there are in the National Speakers Association? I said, yeah, around 3,000. Is that right? Do you think you're the first one that decided that you're going to be known nationally and internationally? Do you? You're not that naive, are you? Over 3,000? You have nothing going for you. And you will be the only fly in that glass of milk. There's no way you can compete with them. With PhDs and MBAs, people from around the world. Who are you? Les Brown from Overtown and Liberty City in Miami, Florida? Who are you? You're nobody. You don't have their money. You don't have their contact, their relationships, their corporate experience. I wouldn't waste my time if I was you. Well, thank God you're not me, because guess what? I'm going for it. I'm going for it. See, sometimes people allow other people's opinion, other people's experiences, or fears to govern what they will attempt to do or not do. Just because somebody else failed at it doesn't mean that you're going to fail at it. And even if you do fail at it, change your approach. Don't change your decision. Did you just hear what I said? Oh, that'll preach up in here. Change your approach. Don't change your decision. Alexander Graham Bell was asked the question, how did you continue after failing 10,000 times? And he said, I didn't fail 10,000 times. I found 10,000 ways that didn't work. He changed his approach, but he didn't change his decision of what he was working on. He's on fire today. He's on fire. Yes, Tyrone, I'm on fire. What do you think about that?
I think you doing real good. Keep on, Mr. Brown.
Okay. For those of you that don't know, Tyrone is a squirrel that comes up on the west side of my house, and he talks to me in the morning. He talks to me and walks with me, and he just tells me various things and teach me how to speak squirrely. Now, here's the other thing. When you got something to do, I want to talk to you and give you another point of what to do in and out of the coronavirus. Yes, you need to have a strategy. Three kinds of people coming out of this: millionaires, billionaires, and witnesses. You listen to me, you will not be a witness. You're going to become a millionaire or billionaire. Which one do you want to be? A witness, like the majority of people who are tuning into entertainment? Write this down and put it someplace where you can watch it and look at it and read it and remind you. What you tune into, you turn into. I've made several million. Now I'm working on the billion, because a good man, not a sperm donor, a good man, oh, no, he didn't go there. No, he did not go there. I did. As my brother said, shoe fit, wear it. And if it's not your shoe and it fits, wear it anyhow. That you got to have something that you decide, this is how I'm going to make my mark. I was chosen. I was sent here with gifts and greatness in me. And I'm going to make a presence. I'm going to make a dent. Am I going to solve all the problems? No, I'm not trying to play God. No. But I can do something. And I'm going to do what I can, as George Washington Carver said, do what you can where you are with what you have and never be satisfied. Absolutely. Don't resign yourself just to be hypnotized by what's going on. Your future is going to be bright because you decided that you're going to write it, that you're going to create it, that the future will be kind to you because you are going to create your own future. That's the way to get up in the morning. Just because I'm 76, you think I'm going to be sitting around watching Netflix? Absolutely not. Netflix is a great idea that kicked cable and all the other networks behind. That's an idea. Everything that exists at some point in time was an idea. I still got some ideas going on in my mind. I still know my name. What's your name? Leslie Calvin Brown. Okay. What is today? Now you're going too far. Hello. Good morning to you. Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. I've got a wonderful feeling. Everything's going my way. You know homie could sing, huh? You didn't know homie could sing, did you? They didn't know, Tyrone, that homie could go there, but you can't handle it.
You got a point. Okay.
Silly boy, silly boy, silly boy. That's what my sister's saying right now, I'm sure, as she's watching me. Silly boy. Hey, listen. I want to work with you. If you got a story to tell, the people in our community, ask them. Anybody you know that's in Hunger to Speak, they'll tell you. We have a good time. And I do sessions with them one-on-one. I help them in so many ways. I got somebody I'm supposed to coach this morning, and we have some fun because I love not only telling stories, I love to hear the story, pull the story out, let them do their own take on the story, and then show them, this is what I did with my story, so that you can learn how to do it with your story to speak intuitively and be able to increase your value, your impact, and your cash flow. People say money won't make you happy, but it's right up there with oxygen. I want you to go too. If you're ready for something different, if you're ready to transition out of what you're doing now into something that you love, I want to ask you, if you knew you had 6 months to live, will you continue to work on the job that you're working on? I know a lot of people say, no, if you had 6 months, now you don't know how much time you have, but if you had 6 months to live. Now, if you ask me that question, if I had 6 months, y'all know what I would say. I would still speak. I gave a speech from my hospital bed. If you don't believe it, just Google it. Les Brown speaking in the hospital for an hour and a half. They told me I might lose my voice when they gave me radiation in my spinal area for 4th stage cancer. When I received, listen to this, you got to Google this. This is going to blow your mind. I was up 3:30 this morning, and I want you to do this. I'm giving you an assignment right now. I want you to look at me right now. You see me? Okay, good. When I had received 200, let me say it again. When I had received 238 radiation seed implants for prostate cancer, 238. I've never met anybody or heard of anybody who received more than that. The tumor was so large. I gave a speech 4 days later. You know what the title of the speech was? You are more powerful than cancer. No matter how much I weighed then, 165 pounds. If you go to Les Brown, you are more powerful than cancer. I was giving some students instructions on how to do a video and make it informative and engaging. And the guy in the studio, he was so enthralled, I was just going to give them like 5 or 6 minutes instructions, and he kept motioning me to continue. And so I ad-lib and continued to talk. Unbeknownst to me, his wife had breast cancer. She had given up, and he wanted to take that recording home to his wife, who was still here. And that was over 29 years ago. All right? And so, but I want you to look at me. I mean, I look like a skeleton, but I was fine though. I won't get my sexy back. I'm a fat boy right now, but I won't get my sexy back. Yeah, I got my little cheeks. Yeah, you need little cheeks. Mama would love these cheeks. But they going. They going. They gotta go. They gotta go. They gotta go. All right. Listen, laughter is important. It boosts your immune system. 1 minute of laughter boosts your immune system for over 24 hours. You get through watching me, you won't get sick for 30 years. 1 minute of anger weakens your immune system for 4 to 5 hours. I studied psychoneuroimmunology. There's a strategy, there's a method to my, I'm not going to say madness, to my laughter. If you're ready to do something new, like a lady called me, she said, I just ran across you. I knew nothing about you, but I've just been watching you on YouTube, watching you speak in the Georgia Dome. Can you teach me how to speak like that and command an audience of 80,000 people? I said, yes, that's what I do. She said, oh my God, I want to learn how to do that. Can you help me have the confidence and not be fearful? I said, absolutely. I'm joining Hungry to Speak, and I'm going to bring my husband to join as well. I want you to go on YouTube and put in Les Brown speaking in the Georgia Dome. And just watch me. I was scared, but I did it. I was scared, yes I was. I went to the bathroom 7 times, had to knock on the door. Hey Brownie, yes? It's time, man, they're stalling for you to come up. Mike, okay, I just need a little bit more time. You scared, aren't you? Yeah. Brownie, are you listening to me? Yes? Come out, man. Make your mother proud. Mike, don't use my mama on me. Come on, man. That's how they got me out the bathroom. I was scared. Then we started walking toward the stage. I grabbed their hands, Dexter Yeager and Mike Williams and everybody in the security guards, and I said, pray for me. And they started praying. I dropped down on my knees. Then I grabbed the hands and put it on top of my head like that was going to make a difference. But I did it. I did it scared. Scared. Oh, boy. Oh, he's happy. Yes, I am. Why? As Orrin Hudson would say, it's the best day of my life. And I don't know you. I can't even see you. It's the best day of your life, too. If you don't believe it, try missing one. Orrin Hudson. Boy, he's a strategic thinker. Teach our young kids how to play chess and how to be thinkers. Yeah, he's a bad boy. He's awesome. Awesome brother.
But I'm just thinking about myself. I'm doing a little bit of self-reflection just listening to you. I'm just thinking about me on stage and things I'm telling my team. I can't believe how much a lot of your tapes and CDs have already embedded them in myself. And by the way, I'm not taking any credit for it. It's just coming from the source right here. And how much of the catchphrases I'm seeing you said, I'm like, Ivan, right? How many times has he said something I've said in easy? I'm like,
wow, yeah.
Like that's where it came from.
Yeah. Well, one of the things is that we have to train people who want to present and connect people how to deliver info bites. Okay, an info bite to me is
Interesting.
live your life the way that you want to leave your life. Ladies and gentlemen, as I speak to you right now, if you had 90 days to live, how many of you will make some radical changes in your life? And most people raise their hands. And then you take a poll. You know what the majority of them will say? I will quit my job. Why? Because that's not them.
Yeah.
They're not doing something that's them. You spend 40 to 60 hours a week doing something that's not you.
Yeah.
That's stressful. But if you're doing something that's you, that's your passion. And so when you realize that we have a choice to accept life as it is,
Yep.
or be an active force for good, to decide, I don't want to just survive. This is not me. What it takes to survive and what it takes to live, those are two totally different things.
Yeah.
And you got to be willing to work for that. A lot of people are afraid of that four-letter word. Willingness, W, the willingness to do the things today others won't do in order to have the things tomorrow others won't have. O, ownership of your life, taking full responsibility for where you are. George Bernard Shaw said that people that make it in his life, they look around for the circumstances they want, and if they can't find them, they create them. The R stands for willingness to reinvent yourself. To that in order for a man to gain his life, he must lose his life. So you've got to be willing to die to who you are now, to give birth to who you are to become. And the K stands for kindred spirits. You've got to come out from among people who don't have goals, who don't have dreams. People rub off on you. You earn within $2,000 to $3,000 of your closest friends. Academy Award winner Sidney Poitier said, when you go for a walk with someone, something happens without being spoken. Either you adjust to their pace or they adjust to your pace. Whose pace have you adjusted to? And so if people are willing to do the work, whosoever will, let him come. A person convinced against their will is of the same opinion still.
Boom! I love it. I want to ask you this question because we teach financial concepts, we teach financial literacy. It's been kind of weird the last couple of years because a lot of people are just plugging in via Zoom or online. But what has been the power of assembling together, coming together? Because we do weekly meetings, we do conferences.
It is so important because we're living in a time, we've gone from brick and mortar to click and order. So the communicators, the storytellers, Steve Jobs said the storyteller is the most powerful person in the world because storytellers can set the agenda for the culture, can influence and impact people. So when you're dealing with a group of people who don't know and think they know, who've been programmed to be spectators and fans, talking about who's the GOAT, who's the greatest of all time, Kobe or Michael Jordan.
My last question is, throughout this process, throughout this journey, and breaking the patterns, as I'm hearing that repeat some form or fashion throughout this conversation, somebody's basically got to change. Somebody has to evolve. Somebody has to grow. And sometimes people have been thinking that they are who they thought they were until somebody from the outside says, no, you're not. And that, for a lot of people, they're disrupted by it because whether the ego gets hit or their pride gets hit or they were this person in corporate America for a minute, they get let go, they get resized, reshuffled. and they're not who they thought they were. And now what we're discovering coming into this era, that we're running into a lot of people that would never have considered entrepreneurship, that would never consider getting involved in the financial services industry. Can you speak to somebody in that transition or move to doing something that they've never thought before? Because 90% of the people that we're getting licensed have zero financial service experience in the past, which is a very healthy thing for our industry.
Remember what I said, in order to make it, mental resolve, a thirst and a willingness to learn, and collaborative, achievement-driven, supportive relationships. If you're willing to learn, no one can stop you. If you're not willing to learn, no one can help you. People who are not willing to learn how to earn money in this space don't get good sleep at night, and they have skinny children. And on Monday morning, they're afraid to go to the toilet because Monday morning, the heart attack rate increases by 35%. People getting ready to go to jobs that's not them. And the majority of them die on the toilet.
Wow.
The wow is right.
It's just something else.
Yeah.
You found in the toilet, just done,
Yes,
checked out.
absolutely. Going to do something that's not you. Yes. So this space where we are, this is the only game in town. And computers are not going anywhere. And what computers can do, and we have them in our business, that once we get them in the funnel, and many times we don't have to have human participation. Mm-hmm. The computer does the rest. Yeah. All right? But when you have something that you have to establish confidence and trust and leadership, people are addicted to listening to personalities and responding to people who can speak to where they are, who've gone through what they have gone through. Your experience as a Marine, well, one instantly talk about and think about toughness and discipline and loyalty. And so that level of patriotism, that willingness to serve the country, to make the world a better place so we can get a good night's sleep, so that we don't go to sleep hearing bombs and worrying about ISIS. That kind of leadership, you just automatically, you have a sense of, can I feel safe with him? That I feel safe with you. And you're going to attract people like you. Birds of a feather flock together. That's real. In a positive sense and a negative sense. So you are it. And when I think about Dexter, as I look at you, Dexter had organizations in 26 different countries. He made $1 million every 17 hours. He used to drive 200 and 300 miles to do a one-on-one close with someone, with his wife, to talk to another couple. If you're going to be in his organization, you should know the color of the rug in the living room of the person that you have recruited, because you've been there and done presentations. You should know their anniversaries, because you're building a long-term relationship. Relationship is the true capital. Things are going to happen in the systems. It's a part of it. But as long as you are the constant, they'll stay with you. They'll trust the person that moved them to a place within themselves where they could not go by themselves, and say, I can do this. I feel safe. and I'm going to stay the course.
You can either live your dreams or live your fears. And I think the majority of people actually are not living their dreams, but are living their fears. So I want to ask you a question. What are your fears? What are you afraid of? What are you scared of? Because we all have fears, don't we? We all have something that's blocking us, that's holding us back. And as we begin to look at life, what we realize is that the reason that most people are not living out their true potential, are not doing all of the things that they would really like to do, is because of fear. Some people call fear false evidence or expectations appearing real. I'm reminded of the story of a guy that was living in an area where he had some new neighbors, and these neighbors had a bulldog. And when he came home every day, this bulldog used to chase him about a half a block from his house. Every day, he would have to streak home. I mean, he would just run. This bulldog would be right on his heels. And so he just got tired of that, because he would go home about a half a block away from home. He would look around for this bulldog, and he wouldn't see him. And he would go walking casually along, and this bulldog come out of nowhere, woo, 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 and start chasing him, and he'd run home. So this one day, he just got tired. And so when the bulldog was running after him, he started running. He saw a rock, and he stopped to pick it up to throw at the bulldog. And when the bulldog got up on him, he started barking. He realized the bulldog didn't have any teeth in his mouth. Then he started chasing the bulldog. If you don't get all the way from it, because the most the bulldog could have done is gummy, you know. And so, you know what? Most people go through life running scared. Running scared from things that have no teeth in them, because they're false expectations appearing real. That, see, we're brilliant enough to scare ourselves to death. Do you realize that? There are some people actually who get a kick out of scaring themselves to death. I remember the last frightening movie I saw. It was The Exorcist. I will never forget. I was so frightened when I came home. I'll never forget. I drove in the driveway, and I had already called my former wife and said, listen, turn the lights on. I was coming in the driveway, and I was getting out of the car, and all of a sudden I couldn't get out. I started blowing my horn. I said, Madeline, they got me, they got me. She came to the kitchen window and said, take your seatbelt loose, fool. I said, oh, okay. I was frightened out of my wits. But there are a lot of people who they get off on that. They love it. I'm a person, my brother is a paratrooper. My twin brother, he's in the military, career man. I would love to jump out of an airplane to parachute. I'm scared, though. I mean, I really admire my brother for that. I would really love to be macho man like that. What are the things that you fear that's been keeping you from living your dream? That's been keeping you from doing some things that you would like to do? Just think about those things. And how do we begin to handle that? Abraham Maslow said that life is about growth. And he said, you can either go back to your comfort zone, and there you won't find any growth, or you must be willing to go forward and face your fears again and again and again, because you're never going to have a fear-free existence. I mean, some fear is acceptable and legitimate. There are some things that you really should be afraid of. Now, you shouldn't allow it to immobilize you. You acknowledge it, you take it into account, and you carry yourself accordingly. There are times that we should proceed with caution. But it's the difference between being stopped by fear. It's the difference between having a fear and the fear having you. So what do? One, acknowledge it, and knowing that it's okay. Don't condemn yourself for being afraid. It's perfectly fine to have some fears. You acknowledge your fears, you embrace those fears, and then you move on. You act on whatever it is that you fear. Because once you embrace it, see, what you resist will persist. What you resist will persist. So one of the most important things is to begin to embrace your fear. The other thing is take full responsibility for your life. Accept where you are and the responsibility that you're going to take yourself where you want to go. Someone said we have two primary choices in life. We can either accept conditions as they exist, or we can take the responsibility to change them. See, a lot of people want to exempt themselves from taking responsibility. All they want to do is talk about the problem. Every time you see them, they'll tell you their story over and over and over and over again. No, no. You want to take responsibility for your life. I got me here, I can get me out of this. And I'm getting out. I'm not going to be a volunteer victim. George Bernard Shaw said there are two kinds of people in life. You know, he said those that make things happen, those that watch things happen, and those that don't know what happened. And he said the people that get along in this life look around for the circumstances that they want, and if they can't find them, they make them. They create them. So part of beginning to get unstuck, you've got to decide that the behavior pattern that you have adopted doesn't work for you. You've got to change your strategies, and changing your strategy means reinventing your life. Recreating you, and you have the power to do that. You can decide that you're going to change, that you're not going to be a wimp. You can decide that you're going to stand up to life. You can decide that I'm going to live each day as if it were my last. You have the power to make that decision. You can decide I'm going to work on myself and develop myself. I'm going to empower me. And all of these things that are happening to me right now, they're just temporary inconveniences. They're not stronger than I am. I'm in charge here. Next thing is separate what you do from who you are. That's what the guilt trap is about. See, a lot of folk won't let you forget what you used to do or what you have done, what mistakes you've made. All of us have made some mistakes in life. All of us have done some things that if we had them to do over again, we wouldn't do it again. There are a lot of things that if I had it to do over again, if I knew then what I know now, I would have done it differently. Well, it didn't happen that way. And that's what you call life. I didn't do it like that. Oh, you don't want me to live that down? How you want to keep on putting that in my face about what I did? Guess what? I'm not interested. That's what I did then. Won't do it today, so you are picking on an innocent man. Hello. So as you're in the process of reinventing your life, write a description of the kind of person that you want to be. What are the things that you must overcome? What qualities about your personality you know that you're going to have to change because those particular characteristics are liabilities to you? What are your assets? What are your strong points? Look at and evaluating yourself to make that determination. Other thing is that in order to get out of a rut, we need some coaching. Find some trusted critics. People that you know care about you and love you. So there's some things that keeps us from growing and getting out of ruts. Number one, we identify with feedback. We take it personal when someone wants to give us some feedback on where we are falling short and tell us about our blind spots. We want to have everything being positive about us. We're not perfect. It hurts. I have a friend who's a trusted critic. I don't like him, but I love him. He doesn't tell me the things I want to hear. He tells me what I need to hear so I can grow. It hurts. It hurts when he put me on the hot seat. I can't stand it. But that's the only way that I can grow. And I'm glad that he loves me enough to risk our friendship to tell me what I need to hear, not what I want to hear. Get a support group, somebody that you can talk to. People who perhaps might have a similar problem. Support groups are very powerful, that you can share some of the challenges that you're going through. And it might be a situation where one person can give you an idea of how they handle that situation and create an opening for you. Begin to stimulate some possibilities in your mind on how you can resolve the problem. We can't grow by ourselves. As I mentioned before, we grow from people and projects. The other thing is about life, when things happen to you, when you permit things to use you, you can't change the past, but you can interpret. You can reinterpret how you see it. For years, I was going around with a heavy load on my shoulders, feeling bad because I was adopted, doing interviews for adoption agencies and foster homes. And I was on television once, and I told these people in this particular interview that I was given away, my twin brother and I, when we were 6 weeks of age. A friend of mine, fortunately, was listening to the program. And she said, Les, I'd like to have lunch with you. And so I went over to see her. She said, when a woman carries a baby for 9 months, feeling that life movement in her, it's automatic and natural for her to learn to love that baby, to expect it to come here when she bears the pain to bring it into the world. Your mother, Mamie Brown, when she came in to adopt you guys, she didn't go through that process. She looked at whoever your biological mother was and said, I'll take him. You weren't given away less, you were chosen with love.
How would you respond when someone's back is up against the wall, they're facing failure time and time again? Let me just share a little quick story. Years ago, I worked with Tony Robbins. In 1999, I was working with Tony Robbins. I thought, model one of the best. It was either you, Stephen Covey, or it was Tony Robbins. And at the time, Mike, I had a little connection into Tony Robbins. So I went with Tony Robbins.
Yes.
And I got so pumped after a year of working there, I gave over 240 presentations. What a great training opportunity as I traveled the country and just was able to present so many times. And finally, he said on stage, talking about living your dreams, he said, when would now be a good time? He told the 5,000 people audience. And I remember I nudged my wife and I said, that's my calling, man. I'm making an excuse for myself. It's time for me to go live my dream. Anyway, long story short, I left the Tony Robbins organization. I called my parents. I said, Mom, Dad, can we and the kids stay at your home for just a couple months as I do my first seminar? Our home was actually rented out at the time because we were traveling so much, so I couldn't go there. And Mom and Dad said, absolutely. Well, those 2 months turned into 5 years in the basement of their house. And I thought, oh my gosh. And in my darkest moment, my wife says, you should go get a job. I said, but I hear Les Brown in me, right? My calling is to do this. There's gotta be a way. I can't just give up on the 10-yard line or whatever. And she said, well, what are you gonna do? And I said, honey, I'm gonna go write a book. And she said, you're gonna do what? Have you even read a book? Anyway, I said, I'm gonna go write a book. And we had a car repossessed, so we ended up with one card. And I decided I can't write where the kids are, so I drove down to the grocery store parking lot and I started to type. And 2 months later, If You Think You Can was written, and I'm telling you, it was published about 3 months later. And from then, my world in 2005 turned overnight. That book became an international bestseller back in 2005, and we just came out with the 15th version. It's coming out next week, and so it's just unbelievable. As I have always told audiences, believe in yourself, believe in your dreams, figure out the right strategy, but never give up. I don't know, how do you counsel people to respond to those kinds of challenges without giving up?
Well, first of all, we always have a choice. There's something in us, TJ, as you know, that's greater than anything that we face, even though we have no evidence to point to prove it. Like as I'm speaking to you now,
That's right.
I had to prepare myself mentally because I'm in pain as I speak to you. Cancer has eaten 40% of my T1 vertebrae and metastasized to the T2, to T3, and to the C7. And I just spoke to an audience this morning, and I said, a doctor looked at me and he said 3 words that no one ever wants to hear. he said, "You have cancer." And the audience got quiet. And I said, "Sir, can you give me a second opinion?" He said, "Yes, and you're ugly too."
That's good.
I said, "No, he didn't." I said, "I got issues. I got issues." Well, here's the thing. Life is a fight for territory. And once you stop fighting for what you want, what you don't want will automatically take over. So I could have said, and even now I could say, this pain is just too great. But my affirmation to myself, whenever I'm going through a tough time, and I'm a 27-year cancer conqueror, no matter how bad it is or how bad it gets, I'm going to make it. And I think that people who make it through the storms of life, and we're always going to have storms. Forrest Gump said life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. My book of life says that think it not strange that you will face the fiery furnaces of this world. You will, not you might, you will have tribulations. It's called life. And so what's key is to visualize and see yourself on the other side. And hold that vision. He said, I'll give you all your eyes can see. Hold that vision and say to yourself, wow, that came out great. I made it through. I learned some things. Every day for 27 years, I've been saying, I thank God I'm cancer free. And people say, wait a minute, you've been saying that for 27 years. I mean, obviously it's not going to happen. I said, no, that's not true. Number one, I'm still here. Augmendino say, persist until you succeed. Well, just think, 27 years. Look, when will a baby walk? It will walk when it walks. When will it talk? It will talk when it talks, and some talk sooner than others. And so many times we give up out of frustration and lack of patience. And to me, the people that make it through have a series of perseverance, persistence, and patience. And they show up with that every day until they get the desired results that they want. I know, I don't believe, I know that I'm going to be free of cancer, that this is not unto death. There's something that I have to align myself with because cancerous cells gone crazy. And so as I'm working on myself and working on the goals and dreams and other areas of my life that I have not resolved yet, that I'm just persistent and I'll keep coming back again and again and again. And as I told my children, even a broke clock is right twice a day. That's one time our brother's going to break through.
That is so awesome. Despite the cancer challenge, if you call it a challenge or not, you're still out.
Because you get to know things about yourself that you don't know.
Yeah, right.
That it introduces you to a part of yourself that you're not familiar with, that it helps you to begin to prioritize things and determine what's important, what's not important. There are things that I would get angry about that I just let pass. For instance, I was coming down the sidewalk yesterday when I arrived here in New Jersey, in Philadelphia, and a guy had his luggage on the sidewalk, and he saw me coming. All he had to do was just pull his luggage back so that I can come by. He refused to move it. He's standing there with his wife. And so, which meant that I had to move my luggage and carry it into the streets and then get back on the sidewalk. And so he said, good, I'm glad you did that. And I said, thank you. And I got into the car that was waiting for me, and I said to my friend, I said, you know what? There was a time that I'd have whooped his ass. You know, I wanted to look at him at one time. I'd have said, you about to make me lose my mind. Up in here, up in here. I took my stuff on the sidewalk, and that wasn't enough. You wanted to taunt me. You wanted to tease me. You want to act like you punked me out. And I said, but at 74, no, because every emotion, I mean, I laugh a lot. Why? 1 minute of laughter boosts your immune system for over 24 hours. Think about that. 1 minute of laughter boosts your immune system for over 24 hours. So people who are watching us now, after we get through, they will get sick for 20 years. Now, 1 minute of laughter, of anger, weakens your immune system for 4 to 5 hours. Yeah. So I deliberately don't get angry. I choose not. Anger is a wind that blows out the lamp of the mind. I study psychoneuroimmunology. I know that the thoughts that we have, they create gene expressions. I know it creates a certain type of chemistry in our body that's toxic. And so I can't afford, as a cancer conqueror, to get angry. I choose not to go there. And we always have a choice. And I believe that the type of program that you have, it gives people the mental and emotional and psychological and spiritual muscle to have a clarity of mind to stand back and say, you know what? I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to let this get to me. I'm better than this, and rise above it and move on with their lives.
Wow, that's powerful. Thank you for sharing all that. You said, you put a little nugget in there I like, which I want to draw attention to, which you just said some people give up on their goals because they lack patience. And that made me think of the law of the harvest, which has 3 laws, right? You reap what you sow.
Yes.
Increased returns. You get more than you sow, right? And then the third thing is delayed gratifications. And so sometimes we give up on our goals because we haven't given time for those seeds to nourish and bear fruit, right? We give up a little bit too early. And anyway, any thoughts on that?
Yes, well, there are some things that you're pursuing. I see that we grow from people and from projects. I'll be a better person at the end of this program because of our communication. We grow from people and projects. And so when we have projects, they challenge us. Why? Because we always, if we want to grow and we're serious, choose projects that's beyond our comfort zone. Because in order to do something you've never done, you've got to become someone you've never been.
That's good.
And so there are experiences that you're going to have in the process. Some things will happen to you, and some things will happen for you. And so I believe that those things that happen for us that sometimes we're aware of, but most of the time we're not. That's what psychologists call your scotomas, your blind spots.
Right.
That a lady, she's an intuitive, and she wrote me a note when she found out that I was a 27-year cancer conqueror, and she says, "This is not unto death to you." She said, "Search your heart and find out what's there." And she was one of the people that gave me a book years ago that I read called Who's the Matter with Me? And what I realized, TJ, and this is the first time I ever talked about this publicly, that somewhere in me that I had not consciously recognized that I had anger at my birth mother and father. How can you bring someone in this world who didn't choose to be here and walk away? And even though we are told, forgetting those things which are behind, reaching forth unto those things which are before, I woke up in the middle of the night, and sometimes you can get a message from a movie.
Right.
And a movie with Tom Cruise, it's called Magnolia. And I never saw the whole movie, but there was a quote that woke me up around 3:15, I never forget. And the quote was, "We might be through with our past, but our past is not through with us." And so I have unresolved stuff in me because for a period of time, I saw myself as have been given away. But there's been a shift in my consciousness. Now I look at my life and I realize I was chosen with love, that God took me out of my biological mother's womb and placed me in the heart of my adopted mother. And that's why I know, now that I've come to grips with, now that I had to get some help. And I believe, ask for help, not because you're weak, but because you want to remain strong.
Yes.
And ask for help and don't stop until you get it. And I said, you said this is not unto death for me. Search my heart. And I said, can you help me go there? And she did, because sometimes somebody can take you to a place within yourself that you can't go by yourself. And in that session, I realized that anger and the hatred that I had for two people that I don't even have faces for. I've never seen my birth mother or birth father. And so I had to resolve that. I had to forgive myself first and then forgive them. And that's when the healing takes place, because cancer, a cell's gone crazy.
Yeah.
And so now, as I move to a place of love, God is love, and he who dwelleth in love dwelleth in God, and God in them. As I move to a place of love for them, that now I'm in harmony and in integrity with who I am as a person, and I have forgiven myself, I've forgiven them, and I'm living this mission of making the world a better place than how I found it, of being a source of light and hope and inspiration for people.
And you're doing an awesome job. There is no long-term benefit for being a grudge holder, holding resentment toward people. I always tell people say, well, do things bug you? Well, things bug me, but listen,
Yeah.
I don't live there. And I always tell people, I let things roll off my back. You can criticize me all day long, and you know what? I'm not going to internalize that.
Yes.
Because I know who I am, and I'm thankful for who I am. Anyway.
Yes. And that is real, because the stuff we take on is they said hating someone is like drinking poison and say, okay, now you're going to die. No, it's not going to happen like that. Yes, no. We all need coaching on how to let some things go. One of the things that I teach is let go or be dragged. That there are certain things that you know that you need to let go of. Otherwise, it's going to compromise your power and it's going to drag you down. And it takes time to do that.
It does. It does. So in your book, I remember this story.
Yes.
Such a great book. Anyway, you walked in, I think it was to a junior high or an elementary school, and you said, there's greatness in this room. If you're here, would you please stand?
Yes.
And you had to say it over and over. And then
Yes.
one young person, didn't they stand up and they said, here I am.
Yeah, here I am. And that young man, I'm working with him today.
Oh, you're kidding.
No, he's been with me since that time. He is an attorney, and he also worked with youth. We go to prisons and juvenile detention centers together. Yes, and he's truly manifesting his greatness. And I'm proud to say I'm one of his mentees, because it's a seesaw relationship. At first, I started out being his mentor, but he has incredible skills with the millennials and with technology that I don't have.
Oh.
And so he's teaching me how to connect with them and how to use technology to further the work that I have, that I'm doing, and to create non-performance income. So this thing called life, I believe that you're never too old to learn, and you're never too young to teach. And he's teaching me, and I'm proud of it.
That's awesome.